Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to Tekpon. Today our guest is Julius, the serial entrepreneur and co-founder at ARRtist. Hello.
Hello, Christian. Thanks for having me.
Very nice to have you on the podcast. At first, for everybody that doesn't know, what is ARRtist?
ARRtist is the ecosystem for software founders in the German-speaking countries, so Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. And when I say ecosystem, our vision is to connect B2B SaaS founders with each other, with investors, with service providers. So we are believing that building an ecosystem really helps to speed up things, avoid mistakes. And for now, we have a major conference in October, which is happening in Berlin. We have a podcast 2 times a week. We have a Slack community with more than 800 SaaS founders from the DACH region. And we recently started some local events. So we're doing 12 to 15 local events in the DACH region, bringing together founders on the local scale. And the last thing which is a very new thing, is the ARRtist Circus, which is a big festival in April, which is directed to sales and customer success teams in tech.
So it's basically like ARRtist, but only for sales and customer success people, right?
Exactly. It's more focusing on the individual contributor side. So it's teams, of course, plus leadership, but it's really a festival for training and enablement teams. So you come with your whole team, you take your leader, you get the best workshops, the best masterclasses, competition with other teams. So Salesforce against HubSpot, and a lot of fun, of course, on a Friday in Berlin. So it's going to be a big party as well.
Nice. So it's like a festival, like you mentioned.
Oh, yeah, it's our goal to really change something because, if you think about sales conferences, they are like super old-fashioned, conservative, people in suits, like super boring. And I think tech sales is something really fun and really cool for your life.
Yes.
So we need to build something new, and we need a lighthouse in Europe, a really cool thing. So the ARRtist Circus will be the Tomorrowland for sales in Europe.
I love it. And how big is the overall team at ARRtist?
We just started last year in April, to be very honest. So we are 3 co-founders, and nowadays we have 4 other people in the team helping us on different dimensions: marketing, design, project manager / founders associate, and 2 interns. So it's 8.
Okay. And why did you start it, or what was the story behind it? So you organized only 1 edition so far?
We did 2. So this October was the second. And I mean, the idea is coming a little bit out of my portfolio. So I built, I think, 14 or 15 B2B companies over the last 10 years for myself. I have more than 40 B2B SaaS investments. And what I've seen is that people at a certain stage have very similar problems. And most of the time, they are missing, especially early stage, a network which helps them to solve it. Yeah. So
yes,
they are trying to solve problems for themselves. And I think this is quite stupid, because there are many people in the ecosystem who solved it. Many people who ran against walls, did mistakes. And so I was like, okay, I can exchange knowledge from my point of view as an angel investor or advisor, but why don't we manage that people talk with each other? And then when I took a look on other ecosystems like SaaStro in the US or SaaStro, so in other geographies, I've seen ecosystems working quite well. And then there was coincidence that my 2 co-founders now, they had a company before, Event Series, like Tough Mudder event roles. So they are really great in events. I was angel investor there. They sold the company. They were looking for something new. So they knew event. I knew SaaS. I was like, hey, let's build a SaaS conference together. And this is like how everything started. And from there on, feedback was super positive. We added different modules, the podcast, the Slack. So we are just developing the ecosystem from there.
Oh, what a great story. So it's the perfect unification between the 2. And I'm curious to know, is it only for German-speaking people or salespeople, or can anybody attend? Because that's a big question.
Yeah, no, definitely anybody can attend. So how we see it is that, of course, DACH or Germany is the biggest software market in the EU, just by population. And so, and we know, or we hear from a lot of founders from everywhere in Europe, like France, Hungary, Nordics, that for them, usually it's quite difficult to enter the German market. Yeah, it works in a different way. It's super fragmented in terms of cities, and their go-to-market motions are different. So our vision is that we provide an ecosystem in English language, so everything is in English as well, where everyone who likes to do business in DACH or likes to enter DACH or likes to be successful in DACH comes because he gets the best content relevant for DACH, he meets the relevant investors for DACH, he meets the relevant service providers who can help you in performance marketing, on sales. So my vision is, and this is also the reason we are building the Berlin SaaS Week around the ARRtist Summit in October, having every SaaS founder with their C-level team in October in Berlin for 3 or 4 days, because this is the place where the decision makers, and the summit is for decision makers only, meet to be successful on the German market.
That's such a great vision. So you want to bring, let's say, the majority of their team, and Berlin Tech Week, you mentioned?
Yeah, we call it. So let's just have it clear. We have the Circus, which is happening in April, which is really for the teams. And then we have the summit, which is in October, which is really focusing on founder level and C-level and VP. So really only high-level people are allowed to enter and to join. And I invite everyone in Europe who thinks Germany is an interesting market to join us in October next year, because it will be a week full of SaaS. This year we had like 22 satellite events from major VCs of the world, major SaaS companies. Wow. So from Tuesday to Friday, there is a lot of stuff going on in Berlin. And of course, Thursday is the main event, the summit, which next year will have 500 founders C-level only and 125 investors. So everyone needs to apply. We do a really high curation to ensure that if you go to the event, every conversation and every content is super valuable for you.
That's great. And I'm curious to know, how did you find your first, let's say, attendees at the first event? I guess network.
Yeah, like first event last year. I mean, we had a playbook which was content or speakers to attendees to sponsors. So the first thing we did, because we believe in two things. The first thing, the overall thing is value of the ecosystem comes from networking, and a conference could be an enabler to meet new people, but like 2 or 3 new contents on the summit will help you all year around, because you can ask him on WhatsApp. So this is the first thing. And the second thing, of course, is like the best content available on the DACH market. So I just started really reaching out to my network, to speakers where I think they could be super interesting to provide content. And we built a super ace lineup of speakers for the conference. And then with this lineup of speakers, we started spreading the words to getting attendees in. And to be very honest, in the first year, I did cold outreach to a lot of founders. Of course, I used my network, but
yes,
we had 400 founder tickets the first year.
Nice.
So it was really a lot of cold outreach. I think I did 250, 300 30-minute calls with founders, really helping them, but also saying like, hey, if we're building this to help you. And yeah, this was super interesting for me. I learned a lot, but of course also worked out pretty well. And then, of course, when we had like 200 tickets sold and 200 people confirming for the event, then we started with like the third pillar, like partner sponsorships. And this worked out also pretty well, like super great speakers. Like there are attendees, we show product market fit with the product. So then also sponsors came in even in the first year. This was the playbook.
Great experience. I love it. And you did the festival also last year. So the full week with the events and...
Yeah, it was this year in October was the second edition of the ARRtist Summit. And this year was the first edition of this Berlin SaaS Week concept. So we piloted this year 2 months ago, really successful. Last year was the first event of the summit. There was no Berlin SaaS Week. We just tried to get the summit on working, which worked out pretty well. And for next year, which will be the third edition of the summit and the second edition of the SaaS Week, we already have, I think, 25 events committed for the SaaS Week. And we did not even start the reach out. Everyone from this year said like it was great. Let's do it again together. I have 2 more partners who also like to join. Can they do an event? So I think it's going to be really cool next year in October.
Happy for you. So there are 25 events in 4 days?
Yes, it's probably even more. So usually we start Tuesday morning, but there needs to be mentioned, usually the satellite events, they focus on certain persona groups. So there are maybe 4 or
CMOs.
5 events for marketing, for CMOs, and maybe there are 6, 7 events for CS or revenue leaders, maybe 2 or 3 for CFO. So it's like for every relevant persona group, it's like a selection of events. And then, of course, the summit is where everyone comes together and then really networks get the best content. Huh?
What is your biggest challenge or mistake or lesson learned since starting getting your hands dirty again?
Many lessons learned, of course. I think having a very clear value proposition also with this is quite important. Yeah. So, as you know, we have ecosystems in Benelux, we have ecosystems in UK. You guys work very closely with SaaS Dog. So I think the first question, which needs to be very sharp, is, okay, what do you want to build? Do you want to build, again, a European champion, a player? Do you want to build like a local champion, which we are going like DACH and really owning the ecosystem and working closely together with other ecosystems? Because we say, hey, our founders maybe likes to go to France, so they should go to B2B Rocks, yeah. But if we can help French founders to come to Germany, we are probably the good entry point. So
yes.
And I think this needed a bit of time to think about, okay, what's in scope and what's out of scope. Yeah. So very clear. I think where we also learned a lot is like pricing of partnership packages. Yeah, because when you start something new, you don't have a clue. So it's a lot about, okay, understanding what are the pain points of your sponsors and where can you really attribute value? Is it they want to build brand awareness in a new market? So partners coming
What's
from
the
outside.
most common one you see with
I think that it's very diverse, and I think the biggest learning is you need to understand what's the overall goal of your partners. Yeah, if you're,
some
for
of them
example,
want leads, right? Some of them want just branding.
Some of them are already in DACH, they want leads. Someone are maybe coming from the Nordics and they enter Germany with a strong financial background and they don't have a brand, so they want to build brand. Yeah, they want people make aware, hey, we are new. And maybe sometimes it's okay. People like to connect to other investors. Yeah, so we have a VIP dinner the evening before where they are mainly investors, and then these sponsors have a super different approach. They want to get in contact with multipliers, with VCs, with PEs who then own portfolio or have portfolio. So, and I think it's a big learning. Really focus on what are the pain points or strategic targets of your partners and which products of your portfolio or like sponsoring portfolio fit the best to their pain points, and then finding price points and value to this. Yeah. So yeah. And biggest challenge going forward, I think, is building a second really big product, the Circus, which is 6 months before. So it's like a second big thing in the annual calendar, different ICP, different persona groups. So I think the biggest challenge for now is really getting the second product running, which I'm super confident because we already have, I think, 400 tickets sold. We have crazy companies like Asana, Google, Salesforce joining. So I'm quite confident that this will be the first step to a big vision. And I'm quite confident in having like 20,000 people on an island in Croatia in 5 years, doing some Tomorrowland for sales then.
Congratulations, and really well explained. Thank you.
Let's see. Congratulations in 5 years, Christian. There's a lot of stuff which can go wrong. Huh?
That's the vision. Yeah, I love it. Those are my main questions, let's say, regarding ARRtist. But I think what's really valuable about you is your experience and your story. So I'd love to dive deep into your story and how you started your career, let's say after high school or college.
Happy to share, Christian. I studied economics and business administration, not at a tier 1 university, so not in a business school, just like a good university in Germany, but not one of the fancy stuff.
Yes.
I was quite ambitious and always like hardworking, so I got an internship at McKinsey & Company, which was top management consulting at this time, one of the top brands to go to. So you either went to investment banking or consultancy, or like one of the very big brands like Volkswagen in Germany. Yeah. That's where like the 3 top careers for business administration students. So was happy to get an internship there. After the internship, they offered me a working contract, even though I had like 3 years more to study at the university. Wow. So they gave me a blanco contract. It's like, hey, whenever you're done, please, here's the contract. So I used it, finished my university. 3 years later, went back to McKinsey and started there. Did a consulted mainly banks and insurances. So this was my vertical I was in at McKinsey. Learned a lot there, to be honest, but also didn't like it too much because it was a lot of consultancy and preparing decisions and, like making things transparent, but not deciding. Yeah. So you're always like in a mode where you think things through and then someone else is saying like, yeah, doesn't fit my political agenda. We don't do it. Or yeah, okay. So an execution,
you don't have an impact.
You never see, or like at least short term, you never see an impact. Maybe 3 years later, you can take a look back and say, yeah, okay, they did it. And during this time, the two founders of Zalando, which is like the biggest e-commerce fashion play now here in Central Europe, they approached me in very early days and like, okay, we are looking for top managers for our idea to build an e-commerce platform. And I was like, okay, no clue about e-commerce, no clue about... but they were really hard and persistent. So we did conversations like 6-7 months in a row. And then after 12 months at McKinsey, it was Christmas time. I said, okay, I think my learning curve is like really going slower. And on the one hand, it's insurances and banks, very conservative area. On the other side was e-commerce, fashion, Berlin, with a lot of hot girls at this time. Yeah. So I made the decision to change. Everyone at this time thought I was really crazy. So the guys at McKinsey like, you're stupid. Like e-commerce and fashion will never work. My family said like, hey, it's your first job. You're only 12 months here. You cannot change.
You're like 24, 25 then?
Yeah, I think exactly. I was, 25, 26 maybe.
Okay.
I did it. And then 4 years later, we brought Zalando to an IPO. It was a crazy time at Zalando, hardworking, long hours, but was so much fun, so much energy. People were so passionate about what they're doing, so much responsibility. So I started with COO position and in a
COO?
COO in a vertical at Zalando Lounge. It's like a campaign. Mm-hmm. And then at the end, I was at the board responsible for all off-price topics. So was one of the 2 founders plus 8, one of the 8 people really managing Zalando at this time, and had 450 people at the end in my pyramid, which I didn't like, to be honest, because it changed from building entrepreneurial stuff super fast to really managing a corporate company. Yeah. So
yes,
and this was also the reason afterwards I said, okay, I want to go back to very agile structures, high pace. And then I started my own company. And from then on, this was 10 years ago, I'm just founding companies. I really like this first 2-3 years, finding product market fit, scaling. And if this is working out, I'm happy to hand over then to someone else who continues growing it. So this is my journey in a nutshell.
And so far you started 15 B2B companies and invested more than 40, something like this?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. In less than 10 years.
Yeah, not all of them are working out. Yeah. So from the 15 I founded, we closed 4 because of different reasons again. Was happy, was lucky. I sold 2 to private equity fund last year. So really cool exits. And some of them are in a very, like say, young stage, like the ARRtist business. Some of them are later stage. So my first company is like handed over to MDs. They do like 25, 30 million in revenues. It's growing every year, so I have a board position. Now I'm still owning like half of the company, but it's like they do the operational thing. We have exchanges like once a month, 2 times a month about strategy. And of course, if they have questions, we are here to help. But so there are different stages of the companies, different roles. What I look like most in a daily business is really getting my hands dirty, having ideas, and then seeing ideas coming to life.
This is also the same for us. For Alex, it's the same. He had a company with 180 employees, and he said, "I don't like this. I like to build. Yeah. I like to have a small team to find growth hacks, to implement strategies, to come up with crazy ideas." So yeah, I can understand that. It's great. But
it's very different energy, yeah.
Yeah,
because you know best. It's like it's very different energy. It's like you really spend time on cool stuff and stuff you like. And of course, in bigger companies, you need to do feedback conversations with your employees. You have budgeting. It's normal. Yeah. I don't say it's bad. It's just like the normal way of like if a business grows. I think there are the right people for every stage. And I think the biggest mistake if you think as a person you can do everything quite well, because this never works out. You usually have a skill set which is perfect for a certain stage. And if this is over, then you should think about, okay, maybe there's more value if I bring someone in who can do the next stage better than me. Yeah. And, but of course, ego-wise, this is, if you're not experienced, it's not so easy. Yeah. You think, yeah, I can do everything, the best in every stage, but usually it's not like this. Huh?
Yeah, I understand. And I have to ask you, how do you manage your time? How do you spend your time on a day-to-day basis, let's say?
Yeah. Usually I have it's two things. I have like some core structures in my schedule, but also a very agile approach. So usually I try to block like 8 to 11 a.m. for like just deep work or cleaning my emails or sometimes doing sports or, like, so really it's blocked in my calendar. Yes. In the morning, I take over for my kids, and then let's say 11 to 4, because 4 usually kids come out of kita. So one day I take them, one day my wife takes them. Yeah, like usually then at this time I do meetings, like 11 to 4. I'm not a big fan of jour fixes, so I try to minimize jour fixes to really a minimum. A jour fix, like just regular meetings with departments or founders, like like every week, Tuesday at 2, because I think sometimes it's just a not efficient use of your time. So I'm more a friend of demand-based meetings. So if a founder or like someone here likes to discuss an idea or something with me, I always try to find time, but then it's very focused on they prepare. And, otherwise you come to a mode where people prepare your fixes, they report what like it's not really valuable.
Yes.
So this is like how I try to structure my day, 2 or 3 big blocks. But in these blocks, I've tried to stay very agile and flexible. I use email and WhatsApp a lot. So email and Slack, but email more for structured communications, bigger things. Yes. WhatsApp more for really like appointment scheduling or like just discussing some ideas.
Yes.
Yeah, like it's super fast. I can do it like from the couch from everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah, I think this is like my working mode, and of course, then there's a tech stack for different stuff. But yeah.
Okay, you mentioned that, so I have to ask you. I ask everybody on the podcast: do you have a favorite SaaS product, or let's say top 3?
I will give you one. I'm a big fan of Notion because it's so agile for very different use cases, like knowledge management. Even could be a small CRM for a new business, like, acquiring first customers. Yes. For you. You don't need a HubSpot or Salesforce. You can do it with Notion. Project management with teams. You can easily like do small project management. So it manages like certain knowledge from my private sector, my proper, like it's very agile. You have everything, and you come to borders if you want to use certain features like super extensively. Then you maybe need something else. Yeah, there is a reason when you have 250 clients, maybe it's useful to use in CRM then. Yeah, not Notion anymore. Right. But like especially for the 0 to 1 period, like the super early stage, I love it. It's a great product.
I totally agree. Do you have what would be your best piece of advice for a starting founder, or you yourself a couple of years ago before starting the first startup?
I think the biggest, two big advice. I think the first thing is you're not the cleverest guy in the room, even if you think so. Yeah. So, and usually there is a bias of overconfidence about your own ideas. And my advice would be challenge these ideas with a very neutral mindset with friends, of course, first, but then also with potential customers, because this is usually what people do wrong. They have an idea, they build a product, they go out and then they recognize, I'm missing a pain for the product. Yeah. So my big advice would be before like building anything, you should be very much aware of the problem set, the pain points of your potential customers, the priority of these pains, and also maybe a willingness to pay for these pains, which can be sometimes tried out with service. Yeah. So before building a tech product, you can check if there's a willingness to pay with like a kind of a service. Yeah.
Yes.
This is the one thing. And the second thing, which I would do more now if I would start again, is like really building a network of advisors who went through a couple of stuff, who can accelerate things, who can help you with intros, with their knowledge, with their experience. So also goes with the first thing. Usually you're not the smartest guy in the room for a certain topic. So try to build a private network, call it like friends or advisors, or give them ESOP, or, like could be very different setups how you work with them, but like having smart people around you is, I think, like something I would building my own first company again. I would definitely do more.
And let's take it from the other perspective. Let's say you are an advisor, right? How do you pick the people that you advise or you angel invest into, so that founders understand what they need to work on?
Oh, it's very different things, Christian. So I think first thing is there's a big difference between advising and angel investing. Because if I angel invest with a portfolio, I mean, like I'm angel investing just in a certain group of investments, which of course fit a certain criteria of institutional investment. Yeah, so it needs to be a VC case if you have so many angel investments.
Yeah.
On the advisory side, I'm also happy to advise like bootstrap companies or going for a PE track, or like could be very different. The set of potential companies is way wider, and as I said, I also bootstrap many of my companies for myself. So I also like that people don't think the VC track is the only thing to go.
Yes.
You can build incredible companies by bootstrapping. You can build profitable cash cows. You can build PE exit cases. So it's super cool. I think, nevertheless, there are a couple of dimensions. First, of course, is market size and like the degree of innovation the product or service has. Yeah, is it something which really addresses a pain? As I said, yeah, is there a big enough market that this could become successful? I think it's one dimension. Second dimension is the team. Yeah, so.
Yes.
And there, I think it's 2A and 2B. B is like on a personal level, do I like to spend my valuable time with these people? So, like, would I go for a beer with them on the evening? Very easy question.
Yeah.
If yes,
yeah.
Because I don't like to spend my lifetime with people I don't like. Even if they have a crazy idea and even if the return could be crazily high,
yes,
I don't like to do this. Yeah. And of course, the other dimension team is like, okay, is it experienced? They didn't have to work in the area for a long time, but did they have some touch points with the pain? Did they have some touch points with the potential customers? Do they understand the industry? Did they experience the pain maybe for themselves because they did an internship somewhere and they need to do a task 100 times again? So they think, okay, we maybe need so do they have a certain connection with the industry they are playing in? Yeah. And then, of course, I think the third thing is like ability to execution. So there's a couple of things where I always check, okay, are they able to resist pain? Yeah, is there persistency? Would they go the extra mile? How do they react if stress is coming up?
yes.
Do they have a certain value set? So I think it's also very important for me as an advisor or investor to check these things. There are many more, but like for now,
no, I think it's more than enough. Yeah, I love the beer one, to be honest. To love to spend time with the people. Otherwise, it's not worth it.
I mean, what brings value to your own life? It's not only money. Yeah, it's like the hours you spend every day with people around you. So the people around you should be inspiring. Yeah, like in different dimensions. Maybe one in sports, maybe one in being a great family host, like a great father, which can inspire you on this side. Maybe some great entrepreneurs, maybe someone from an it could be very different things.
Yeah,
the people should be people you like to spend time with.
This is perfect. I love it. Is there anything else that you want to mention today on the podcast?
No, just like congratulations to your promotion. I saw yesterday you got promoted, Christian. So I think it's just your hard work pays off here. So big congratulations, and thank you for the invite. I'm always happy to share a couple of things which hopefully helps other founders. If someone has questions, just drop me a line on LinkedIn. Very easy to reach via LinkedIn. Someone likes to join ARRtist, let me know. And other than that, I hope to stay in contact for 2024 and do some good stuff together, Christian.
Thank you so much.